When you see Jennifer Zing's art, it catches your attention for its uniqueness and beauty. However, you'll never guess what it's made from. Gourds.
It's made of gourds. That's what I work in. That's my primary medium. I started working in them about 7 years ago, just by chance. I was thinking a lot about my career as an artist, and just it's very hard to find your niche, I think. And I remembered this box of gourds that my grandfather had given me when I was in college. But I remembered them in the closet, and I just got them out and got a set of markers and started doodling. And by the end of the week I had the whole box done, and by the end of the month I'd gone to the farmer's market and gotten more and had the whole dining room covered with these designed gourds. And at that time they were just like the gourd in the round, and the gourd, if it looked like a bird, it became a bird. If it looked like a fish, it became a fish. But now I draw out my designs, or I imagine them in my head, and I go and find the gourds that fit them now. So I know them well enough to know the different varieties and sizes and things. So they become sculpture. I get all kinds of responses, but the first thing they say is, "What are these made of?" And when I tell them, they're like, "Gourds? No." They can't believe it, really. It's like, you can see this gourd here, you can see the body, and this is one gourd. Her, you know, the skirt that goes up into the body of the figure, that's one gourd, and that's called a goose gourd. And you know, I can see the figure in that. And the name goose gourd, a lot of crafters use that gourd to create, you know, they make geese and ducks and that kind of thing. I just see things a little differently, I guess. When I first started doing gourds and people were asking me, they would say, "Well, what do you do?" And I'd say, "I'm an artist." And they say, "Oh, really? What do you work in?" And I would tell them, and they kind of roll their eyes, because you know, there's a lot of stigma attached to the gourd, you know, just as a country thing or crafty or folk art, I guess, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but for me it's important that people see it as a real art medium, because for me it is that. See, that's the really awesome thing, is I try to really stick to the gourd, and a lot of people don't realize that about my work, but even the boots are made of gourds, and the hat is a gourd, the arms, the guitar, the ruffles of the skirt. I try to use the gourd for as much as I possibly can. And that's another reason I think they're so cohesive. You know, they're all different, but they all look similar, is because all the components are made from gourds. You know, gourds come in hundreds of varieties and sizes. Like the guitar is made of a bottle gourd. It's called an Indonesian bottle gourd. And I just cut it and then inlay a flat piece of gourd over the top, and you can hear the strings. Love that. This piece is a multi-tiered gourd sculpture. It was created from a poem that I had written about my sister and I when we were little girls, and it's called Little Girl Dreams. All the pieces are gourd. The sunflower is made from gourds and pieces of gourds, and even the seeds from inside the gourd. The crown is carved from a gourd. Just most all the components are in the shoes. This piece is one of my favorite pieces. This came from a story that I came across while researching creation myths and the gourd, because gourds tend to be part of a lot of creation myths from different cultures because they're such an ancient object, and they were used for utilitarian objects, but they were also revered and thought of as a magical object. This piece is called Refugees, and it's an African art piece that was inspired by the stories of the orphans from Darfur. And while this piece, you know, there are beautiful parts about it, the overall feeling is one of sadness. And it just, I like from time to time to create one of these pieces from the series, just because it's a cause that is dear to my heart. Well, this is my wind dancer, and it was a really fun piece to do. And it was quite a challenge figuring out the stance of the horse and the musculature and how to make it all work. But it's my kickoff to 2010 equestrian games next year, and I have several of these in different stances that I'm going to create, but this is the first one. Art is so empowering. Being able to imagine something and then make it come into being is that's a magical thing.